Hello, everyone. I'm down here in Mar-a-Lago, and I'm going to be interviewing Donald J. Trump. This is very exciting for me. Go out and tell everybody you know that
what they do, it's genius.
Yeah, he's making money off this. I can count on two hands.
Yeah, it's genius. You were right and I was right, and it's genius.
Yeah. And I remember you saying,
wow, it's genius. You know, I say, make America great again. That was my theme.
Yeah.
It was going to be keep America great. I gave that away.
Yeah.
It's not because America's not great now.
No. What?
America is a laughingstock all over the world.
What happened? We've seen evil rise out.
You're right.
Yeah.
They say, oh, don't worry about it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you do have a gift.
You're right.
I am the one. You know, that's why I thought that you'd be the best president ever. Yeah.
It's genius. We don't have any press. They won't report it.
I call that going fox on you. Go fox on me. If a tree falls in the forest and no one heard it, did it really fall? Well, then the media tells us there is no forest.
Wow, it's genius. What they do, it's genius.
Yeah, he's making money off this. I can count on two hands.
Yeah, it's genius. You were right and I was right, and it's genius.
Yeah. And I remember you saying,
wow, it's genius.
Yeah.
I'm amazed that so many people say,
this uncircumcised Philistine, who does he think he is?
And I had a goal, and the goal was to do what we did. And I think you can almost say that few presidents did what we did.
Well, everybody loves our president. Some just don't know it yet.
People love you.
Oh.
You have been so brave. You're an incredible patriot. I'll never forget the first rally I've seen you. I said, that's the pillow guy. I can't believe it. The pillow guy is here. Wow, genius.
If you have a cyber attack, your geeks are better than the good geeks are better than the bad geeks, and then they, virus protection, all this.
What they do, it's genius.
Yeah, he's making money off this. I can count on two hands.
Yeah, it's genius. You were right and I was right, and it's genius.
Yeah. And I remember you saying,
wow, it's genius.
And now, Matt Wright and Spike Cohen.
Oh.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, and welcome to the Vanguard. For Shixa's Gotta Have It, a Spike Cohen joint, I am Matt Wright, and together we are traversing the muddied waters of freedom.
Jew the Right thing was better, but that one's good too.
Folks, I forgot to look one up, so I had to do it literally in the last 10 seconds.
Yeah, no, Shixa's Gotta Have It's good. But, I mean, good movie too, by the way.
It was a good movie. That was
Jew the Right thing
Spike Lee's second best and last good movie.
You didn't like Malcolm X?
Oh, did he do Malcolm X?
Well, he was in it.
Was he? I haven't seen that movie since I was like 13.
Was he in it? Oh, folks, thanks so much for tuning into our show and all that.
To everybody who kept saying, Spike, you need to put something in the background.
No, it was directed by Spike Lee. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
To everybody who said that Spike needed something in the background other than a corner, he overcorrected. And he went way in the opposite direction of just hanging a picture. And now he's showing ads for sandals or something.
wait, what's that?
I have no idea.
It's not supposed to do that.
Right. Yeah, he's showing ads for sandals.
All right, well, here,
all-inclusive
let me find
resorts.
something else. Let me find something else then. It's going to be difficult. Let me find something else. It's supposed to just be a background. There we go. We'll just use this.
Yeah.
Hey, Hey, folks, thanks for tuning into this Muddy Waters Media production. Check us out on all social media and podcasting platforms, as well as on Chicago Public Access, Channel 83, on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Thanks so much for tuning in and for being a part of this. Be sure to share it and subscribe and like it.
World. Party time.
This is Spike's World. Party time. Excellent. Like, share, subscribe, comment, like other people's comments, do all those things. And if it's on YouTube, don't just hit subscribe, hit the bell. We want your phone to explode with notifications every single time we go live. Thank you so much, Matt.
And if you happen to be a Spotify user, if your preferred podcasting app is the Spotify app, you now get video.
Yes.
So if you are a Spotify user, you can enjoy our faces or just hear the dulcet tones of our voices.
Correct. Yes. Finally, you get what you've always wanted. Us.
More of us.
More of us.
More of us. First and foremost. I would like to thank the wonderful people at Knock'em at Home. Yeah, knock'emall@home.com for the kava that I'm drinking today.
And I'd like to thank Le Bleu for this delicious water that I'm drinking today. And I'd like to thank this Pakistani guy that has a bunch of background videos for giving me background videos to use. I didn't know that there were ads on it. That one had ads on it. This one doesn't have ads on it. Bulavanaka.
I have the Declaration of Independence behind me. You have animated world news graphics.
So, it's funny. It's like I told Kennedy before we went live earlier. This isn't actually happening. This is a green screen. This doesn't happen. They don't want you
I'm
to
certain
know
that Kennedy appreciated being mansplained too.
Yeah, no, this isn't real. The Earth doesn't do that. This episode, of course, is brought to you by the Libertarian Party Waffle House Caucus, the second largest and fastest growing caucus in the Libertarian Party. Become a member today by going to the Facebook group Libertarian Party Waffle House Caucus, or you can go to the Muddy Waters Media store by going to muddywatersmedia.com and then pressing the store button. Don't go to muddywatersmedia.com/store. It doesn't work yet for some reason. It used to work. It doesn't work anymore. But go to muddywatersmedia.com and press the store button, and you can buy some really sweet gear, including Waffle House Caucus stuff. The Gravy King, Joe Solosky. Joe Solosky is running for governor of Pennsylvania. Joe Solosky is the key to Pennsylvania's success, and if you'd like to help him become the first libertarian governor ever, then go to joesolosky.com. That's JoeSoloski.com. Jack Casey is running to become the first libertarian to be able to make a living selling books. That's not even close to being true. It's actually really the only way. Well, anyway, so he's made these books, and they're great. What are they about? I have no idea. We're never going to read them, and you should, though. So if you go to theroyalgreen.com, you can buy these books. The Royal Green, in silver throned and crowned it by gold. They're coming. I'm told they're coming of age libertarian books about. So many people have read these books and told me that they're great. We've told you why we don't read them. We don't read books because if they're bad, we feel bad for trying to get you to read them and buy them. And if they're good, then we feel bad about making fun of
stuff we say.
So, the things that we say about
Josh McCoat. Jacob LaBelle says dungeon sex. No, this is not the biography of Joe Jorgensen.
No. Speaking of which, Thomas Queter is running to be the next state senator of the 52nd District of New York. Thomas Queter says, I run better than Albany, which he finds hilarious because he's crippled and in a wheelchair. But yet he does still run better than Albany in that wheelchair. It's a power chair. If you go to tomfor52.com, you can help him in his run for state senate. Now, if you donate $100 or more to his campaign, you can contact him and tell him what page or any single page from any of Jack Casey's 3 books that I will read. Yep, I will read on my show, My Fellow Americans. So if you want to help Thomas Queter run for state senate and get me to read books that I told you I would not read, then go to tomfor52.com. That's TOMFOR52.com. And our final sponsor is Defy the Power. In fact, let's use this one, because Defy the Power makes some of the finest tumblers that you can get. And they offer free customization if you go to defythepower.com. But tonight, we're actually going to be auctioning off a one-of-a-kind custom-made Waffle House Caucus tumbler that features LED holiday lighting that lasts for 10,000 years. Or 2,000, is it 2,000 hours?
10,000 hours.
10,000 hours.
10,000
Might as well
hours.
be 10,000 years. That's
because you ain't gonna be alive
like
for it when it
500
stops
days straight. No, that's not true. That's it's like 500. Yeah, it's like 5.
It's 50,000 hours. 50,000 hours.
50,000 hours?
50,000 hours, or 2,033 and a third days of light use.
You could leave it on for 8 years. No, more than that.
More than 8.
No.
Well,
You are going to be able to light this thing whenever you want to. Okay? Christmas lighting. It's a tumbler. And it's got a Waffle House
5.5 years.
Caucus, 5.5 years. It also features both of our signatures, including my Bazooka Jew signature there in the top right. There's also a donkey for some reason. And then there's a holiday ornament with Matt Wright on it, and a dreidel with me on it. There's just a lot happening there. And our signatures have been epoxied, so you could wash it 1.7 million times, and our signatures will stay on it 14,000 times.
Or 10, yeah. Or more.
10,000. You could wash this so many times. So we're going to start the auctioning in just a moment, but those are our sponsors. And of course, if you are so sickened by this segment of advertising that you want to sue us, well, you better not be in Florida, because if you are, we're going to get so much money from you suing you back, because we're going to use personal injury attorney Chris Reynolds, attorney at law, by going to chrisreynoldslaw.com. Actually, we're just going to call him because he's our friend. But you, if you want to sue anyone else but us in Florida, chrisreynoldslaw.com. He will 100% get you just stupid money. Stupid. Just walk around with big stacks of Benjamins. Just dumb money. Just make chairs out of money. I'm sitting on my money. Oops, I thought this was a futon, but it wasn't. It's just all the money I have. Thanks, Chris Reynolds. chrisreynoldslaw.com, Matt.
Happy third night of Hanukkah.
Yes, thank you. Happy third night of Hanukkah. And thank you for reminding me that after the show is over, I have to post another example of civil disobedience to help those in need on Hanukkah, because that's what I've been doing every night. So thank you. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
And thank you. And happy Chappy Chanukah to you as well.
I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Why is it when it's spelled without the C, there's only one K, and when it's spelled with, or when it's two Ks when it's no C, and one K when there is a C?
I would assume that one is the phonetic spelling that Ashkenazis use, and the other one is the phonetic spelling that Sephardim use. I honestly don't know. It's trying to anglicize or use English. It's trying to use Latin alphabet to spell a Hebrew word. It really doesn't matter how many K's are in it. Well,
I bet.
I mean, you want to go from
I bet
2
you
to
don't
4.
want one more than two.
You don't want one more than two. If you do, you got to space them out a bit. Speaking of which, speaking of tumblers, Tumblr. We're going to start the auction for this tumbler right now. And the way this auction works is we're going to start right now. You're going to bid in the comments. Whatever you're watching this on, whether it's on Facebook or Twitter, or YouTube or Twitch or Float or any of those, just comment your bid and
You're in Float. We're not going to see your comment.
Yeah, I follow us on. I follow the Float.
Oh, do you follow the Float comments? Okay.
Yeah. I always do that. Yeah,
Jimmy Lee is starting it off strong at $40. And everybody, we are going up by fives or more.
Yeah. Yeah, let's not do the thing. No, we're not doing. Yeah, we're not doing
the cents.
We make two exceptions. 69, 420, but not $4.20. 500 and 420. And well, yes. No, but that would still be a
that's a 5.
69 is the only, or 420.69, like $420.69. That will do.
Right.
But anything else has to be 50. So we're at $45. We're at $69. Stephen Andrew Witt's at $69 right off the bat. Nice.
$69. Now, before we get into the Mudwater Mushroom Coffee replacement cacao rapid fire segment,
yes,
I want to point out that yes, we are aware of the shooting that happened in Oxford, Michigan, and obviously our thoughts are with the victims and their families,
of course.
But because it is a very new situation, we know that the shooter was 15 years old. We know that 3 people are dead, and I believe the last count was 8 is injured. We know that. We know nothing else.
Yeah.
So we are not going to be jumping any guns. We're not going to be jumping any guns and going out and saying anything right now. We need to figure out what's happening there, and so people may ding us for this if they want to. I don't care. Right now, our thoughts are with the families of the victims and the people who are injured, and we hope that they're finding some sort of peace and solace throughout all of this, some way, somehow. Once we learn a little bit more, we'll talk about it.
Absolutely, and a speedy recovery to those who are in the hospital, obviously. But we try not to comment on things that we know. Literally everything that was just said is what we know about it, so we don't know anything else. So let's talk about things that we know marginally more about, slightly more about here on the Mudwater Coffee Alternative Cacao Mushroom Water Cacao Rapid Fire segment, brought to you by Mudwater Coffee Alternative. I know what happened today, folks. You woke up and thought to yourself, my God, if I never have another cup of coffee again, it'll be too soon. Well, folks, I have some great news for you. If you go to muddywatersmedia.com, no, that's not going to work.
Muddywatersofreedom.com.
Oh, if you go to muddywatersofreedom.com/mud, you can get this. It's got masala chai, cacao, mushrooms, turmeric, sea salt, cinnamon, and literally nothing else. It tastes like that combination of ingredients together. You're definitely going to want to buy some honey or some other sweet thing to take with it because but it's good for you. It's good for you. It's got 1/7 of the cup of caffeine of a cup of coffee. Just enough caffeine to get you all hyped up like this, but not so much that you end up crashing and having heart problems and feeling bad like this. I've got heart problems. So if you go to muddywatersofreedom.com/mud, you can begin your journey to a healthier, more healthy. muddywatersofreedom.com/mud.
So let's start the Mudwater Mushroom Coffee Replacement Cacao Rapid Fire segment off. We're going to start off with some good news.
Yes.
The men who murdered Ahmaud Arbery were found guilty last week.
Yes.
Huge good news. Add that to the Rittenhouse acquittal, Andrew Coffey being found not guilty of murder. We know that there's the gun charge out there. We understand that there's a gun charge out there that he should not go to prison for 30 years for. He shouldn't go to prison at all because all gun laws are unconstitutional.
Yes.
But the fact that he got acquitted for the murder charge of his girlfriend is massive. That is huge news. So right now we have to take these wins. We have to take these wins. We have to see that, the paradigm is shifting. It's not just, you're not the police aren't going to just be able to say something and it be believed by a jury. The juries are believing things. The juries are not just believing police. They're believing, they're not believing prosecution. They're going in there. They're actually listening. They're paying attention is what it appears. And there have been some massive wins for liberty and self-defense and a win against no-knock raids, because I am certain that Andrew Coffey's girlfriend would still be alive had that been not a no-knock raid.
Oh, absolutely. And the thing is, this is big for no-knock raids because with Kenneth Walker, Breonna Taylor's boyfriend, it is now being established that if the police break into your home and they get shot, that's on them. And because, hey, schmuck, you broke into someone's home. And that's going to lead to a change in police policy. If they know that someone who kills or shoots at a police officer is not going to get in trouble for it if they did a no-knock raid, that eliminates police wanting to do no-knock raids, because this is a heavily armed country. And when you break into someone's home, they don't know who you are and don't have time to assess the situation, or they know you're a cop and still want to kill you because you broke into their home. And at that point, the juries are saying, yeah, no, that's fine. You can do that. And that's just. Yeah. That's correct. And hopefully it will lead to police saying, okay, well, then we're not going to subject our officers to getting shot at, and then their killers going free because they were defending themselves. So hopefully that will end no-knock raids, or at least greatly reduce their usage. So that was the good news. We got that done in the first 15 minutes.
Yep.
Yes.
Now let's talk about child rapists.
Yeah.
The Ghislaine.
I don't know. I've been saying Ghislaine.
I just know the S is not pronounced. That's what I know about that name. The Ghislaine Maxwell trial started yesterday. And a lot has actually changed since I wrote these notes. So what we know is that this is probably going to take about 6 weeks, which means that her 60th birthday, which is on Christmas, because when I think Christmas, I think Ghislaine Maxwell.
Ghislaine Maxwell. That's what I think of.
Right.
'Tis the season.
Oh, the gifts that Ghislaine Maxwell gives. Epstein probably. Never mind. Anyway, it's going to go beyond her birthday, probably into the new year. So, unfortunately, broadcasting and photographing criminal proceedings in federal courts is not legal.
Yes.
So when people are out there saying they're not showing it on the air because they don't want people to see whatever, conspiracy theory, blah, blah, blah. It is literally written in the federal code that federal trials cannot be broadcast or photographed. So you are
yes. Breaking news. This just in from the news desk of my wife. It's Ghislaine.
Ghislaine.
No, the S isn't pronounced. They haven't been pronouncing the S. That part I knew.
The S is
Ghislaine.
That's all I know. Ghislaine.
It's Ghislaine. Bye.
So that is the reason you're not seeing it. You're going to see the courtroom sketches, and you're going to hear people giving their reports on it all across the media.
Yeah.
So anytime that you see a report on it, consider your sources. Your sources.
It is 2021, and we are relying on paintings of the proceedings.
Paintings and legacy media.
Legacy media. And the paintings aren't like, okay, great. It's a painting. Why aren't they good? Like, why do they always look like
they're doing it very quickly? Like, I don't fault them. They're there.
It's not an action shot. Like, every shot is like, you know, it looks like a, I don't know, like some kind of, it looks like a Pollock. It looks like a Jackson Pollock of a trial. It's terrible. Like, it looks a little bit better than a Jackson Pollock.
You know what else looks like a Jackson? No.
No.
So we know that the pilot has been testifying over the last 2 days. I believe he started yesterday and continued today. And he named that on Epstein's Lolita Express, he said that Chris Rock was on it. He said that Trump was on it. He said that Clinton was on it. And he said somebody else. I did these notes yesterday, so like a lot of I didn't update this part, and I forgot the other person that was on it. But yeah, there have been numerous people who have been on this plane. That doesn't mean that they went down there to do what everybody assumes that they went down there to do. But it also doesn't mean that they didn't go down there to do what everybody assumes they're going to do.
Yeah, so remember, this guy was a socialite, and he was very connected politically and in the entertainment world. The fact that someone was on the plane or went to the island doesn't mean that they were involved in the activities. But I remember watching video of Trump saying, yeah, he likes them young. So I think everyone at least knew. I think it's safe to say everyone at least knew something was going on, even if they themselves weren't also raping teenagers.
Accurate.
Yes.
A couple of things that we want to look out for over the course of the next 6 weeks. Will former New Mexico Governor Bill Richardson testify? Because he is accused by one of the accusers, Virginia Guthrie, Virginia. He's accused of having sex with her while she's underage, along with Prince Andrew. We know Prince Andrew is not going to testify.
Absolutely not.
Will former New Mexico Governor Bill Richardson testify? Something to keep an eye out for. Whether any of the Black Book, the famed Epstein Black Book, is going to leak out during the trial. They say that there is a special section in there called massages that has a bunch of names in it, and some of them may come up over the course of these proceedings. So you're just shaking your head.
No, I'm just thinking of how skeevy this guy was, and disgusting. Yeah. Like, I'm just like,
And then the other thing is whether or not Ghislaine Maxwell will testify herself, or if she will make it to testify.
Yeah, for those who are, because I've had a few people that have said, well, I mean, they would never be so brazen as to kill her now. They killed Jeffrey Epstein and just straight up were like, yeah, no, he killed himself. And he was in Supermax under constant supervision, and he hung himself with toilet paper, and the guards were both off duty or on break, and they weren't supposed to be, and the camera stopped working, and we don't have any recording of it, and the lighting was bad. Like, I mean, if they decide they want to kill this woman, they're going to kill this woman. So I don't think they're going to, just because I think they would have already. But if enough stuff comes out, I mean, I hate to say it, but I hope they've secured this courtroom from what could happen there.
I don't have these in here, so I'm going to try to remember this off the top of my head. But on her legal defense team, I texted it to myself, so I would remember it. Her legal defense team is insane. The people that she has on it. Where is up to 80 journalists are expected? Don't care. Handful of reporters. Her star-studded defense team include former federal prosecutor who helped bring down El Chapo.
Yes.
And another ex-federal prosecutor who took down mob killer Tommy Karate Patera. So she got a bunch of prosecutors to defend her.
And one of the well, that's actually not uncommon. It's usually smart to do that in some of these high-profile cases. One of the prosecutors is James Comey's daughter. In fact, I think she's the lead prosecutor.
Is she?
Yeah. 330 million
yes,
people.
Prosecutor, yes. I thought
one of the prosecutors.
Defense team.
No.
Yes. No. Yes, it is that is James Comey's daughter.
Yep.
Yeah. How much you want to bet his name's in that book?
They're all pedophiles. All of them are pedophiles. Now, speaking of people who shower with underage girls, Joe Biden. Last week, Matt, he did what he said was a major move, Matt, to reduce the cost of oil, to alleviate the pain at the pump, Matt.
Yes, he did. He released 50 million barrels of oil.
Wow. And that sounds like a lot.
That does sound like a lot. And do you know who it also sounded like a lot to? The Secretary of the Department of Energy.
Yes.
Because when she was asked about how many barrels of oil America goes through in any given day, she had no idea. It's roughly 18 million barrels a day.
Yeah.
So they've given us about 2.5. They've released 2.5 days worth of oil. Now, this was to help us alleviate the pain at the pump for 2 days. But this is what I have recently learned about oil.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly didn't know this. So this is me actually learning it. Oil comes in sweet crude or sour crude. Oil is considered sweet if it contains less than 0.5% sulfur. Yep. It's considered sour crude oil if it has sulfur levels larger than 0.5%. All of our reserves are sour. If you had to guess how pretty much every refinery in America is set up, which one do you think they're ready to refine?
Off the top of my head, I would guess whichever one demonstrated the most incompetence and malfeasance by government. So I'm going to assume that almost all U.S. refineries refine sweet crude, Matt.
Pretty much all of them.
Yeah.
Pretty much all of them. Now, they can refine sour, but it would require more work, more man hours, which would drive up the cost of the oil being turned into gasoline, which wouldn't help us at the pump.
But that's not what they're going to do.
No, that's not what they're going to do.
Is way better.
Yeah, they're going to do. Yeah. So they are going to export the oil to China and India to have them refine it, them take some, roughly 18 million barrels, and then, or 1 day's worth, and then ship it back, which means, hang on, oh God, we'll probably pay more. This is the most inept government administration I have ever seen. And we just went through 4 years of Trump's administration.
Yeah. No, it just keeps getting worse. This also demonstrates how stupid the so-called strategic reserve is in the first place, because they literally hold the wrong kind of oil for distillation and processing in U.S. plants without them having to take more time and spend more money doing it. So, and the thing is, it's not like there are these distilleries that are sitting there unused waiting to process fuel. They're constantly processing fuel. By forcing them to process this fuel, it actually drives up the price, because instead of being able to process other oil that is sweet crude, they now have to process this crude. So they're actually creating a bottleneck, which drives up the price. And because it's the government, they're going to make them do it. Or more likely, like Matt said, they're just going to export it at a price, and this does absolutely nothing. If it does anything, it's make it worse. So once again, government has created a crisis, made it worse, blamed us for it, and then grandstanded on our suffering to get even more power. More on that, on something even on something where they're doing that with something else. Speaking of really good policies that make sense.
Hang on real quick. A quick update on the tumbler.
Okay.
The new
yes.
bid
Tumblr
is
update.
$100.
We're at 100 even.
We're at 100 even from Sheila Foster.
Yes.
100 is the new bid, so if anybody is bidding in the future, it must be higher than that.
Oh, incidentally, Stephen Ellis mentions we pay China to take plastic trash because it's so toxic to the environment and the workers to process it. Then we pay to ship it to them, and then they make things out of it and sell it back to us. That's true. It's actually worse than that now, Stephen. Because of this mandatory recycling that's happening in most Western countries, the US, Canada, most major metro areas in the developed world, there's now such a glut of recycled plastic that very often the Chinese companies take it because they're paid to take it, and then they burn it because it's not worth anything to them. They burn it. So we literally pay to have plastic shipped overseas to the other side of the planet, and the carbon footprint that creates of literally taking all this stuff and shipping it back to China, where they burn it. So it's as though they were looking for the most polluting way to deal with plastic. If you had to sit down and say, how could I do the most damage to the environment with these plastic goods? You would be hard-pressed to intentionally and unironically come up with a way of processing it that is worse than this.
The new bid is 120.
Yes.
And Jacob Blaze says getting Alex Jones vibes from Spike's background, and that is the most perfect.
Oh, no. Wow.
Yeah, that is so spot on.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
125 is the new bid from Stephen Andrew Witt.
No, yeah, is
that's 100% Alex Jones.
So here's the thing, guys. So it doesn't make the frogs gay, but what it does do is it speeds along their process of changing genders. So he's not wrong about that. He wasn't wrong about that. We're at $169.
$169.
We're at $169. Nice, yes. Yes, thank you,
Nice.
Jacob. Yes. Now all I see is Alex Jones. Fuck.
Yeah. So speaking of other governments that do stupid things.
Yes.
It was announced this week that euthanasia clinics in Germany are requiring people to be vaccinated before utilizing their services.
I mean, who would have ever thought that the Germans would come up with some crazy rules regarding certain sects of people and then kill them.
That's the one you went with, huh?
That's the one I went with.
I wrote 5 jokes to that just so everybody knows. And I said, pick your favorite.
Here's the other one. This is the other one I went in. So now there's 2 things that Germans love that are ridiculous and that interfere with your life. This and David Hasselhoff. David Hasselhoff. So my 2...
David had, because Germans love David Hasselhoff.
Germans love David Hasselhoff.
My favorite was one of these clinics is now advertising, if the myocarditis gets you before we do, your embalming is free.
Wow.
I also like the, in other news, a local impound lot is requiring you to get an oil change before they will accept your broken down Pinto with 400,000 miles on it.
See, that seemed, it seemed bad because we were comparing a person to a broken down Pinto.
Yes, the person who potentially has ALS or body is ridden with cancer.
Yes. It just seems like, I don't know. Well, at least they're vaccinated.
Hi.
So, folks, that brings us to the only other good news you're going to get out of this, and that is the personal injury attorney, Chris Reynolds, attorney at law, Anchor call-in moment, where you can go to anchor.fm/muddiedwaters, and you can leave us messages, and we'll play those messages and answer your questions right here on Muddy Waters of Freedom every single Tuesday night. You can also, if you go to anchor.fm/muddiedwaters/subscribe, you can become a member of the Muddied Militia, the mud-skipping, mud-skateer, muddied mud people militia. And in doing so, you get access, for only $10 a month, you get access to, God, what do you get? Oh, ad-free, an ad-free experience on Spotify, including video now. You get video ad-free. Right. You also get exclusive Muddied Waters audio, Muddied Waters content that none of these other schmucks get. Only you get it. You and everyone else paying $10 a month get it. And then finally, once a month, including next month, right? Next week, right?
Next week.
Yeah, next week, and once every month, we get together and do the Muddied Zoom, where you can join me and Matt and Jason Lyon and Cajun and Eskimo and Ashley and Sean and maybe Brian Lambrecht will be there, who knows, and the rest of the Muddy Waters crew, and you can hang out with us on a private Zoom call. And by private, I mean that we broadcast it live for everyone else to watch too, so that they can be jealous of how cool you are. All of this for the low price of $10 a month, simply by going to anchor.fm/muddywaters/subscribe. But again, if you knock off that subscribe part and just go to anchor.fm/muddywaters, you can leave messages for us by pressing the leave messages for us button. And
it just says message.
Why does your voice sound like that?
Why does it sound like that?
Oh, good. Hold on. Okay, say something now. Oh, good. So we're going to say something now.
Check.
How's that? Nope. So we're going to have, Matt's going to work on that for a minute. And let me see, because I think that's you. I don't think that's the audio. Let me play this and see if that's it. You say something now?
Okay, so how am I sounding?
It's not as terrible, but there's a lot of static. So here is our first question from Nick Liebarger.
Hey guys, this is Nick. I'm driving back to college. drinking my Red Bull, hashtag not a sponsor. Big day today. My New England Patriots defeated the Tennessee Titans, the number one seed in the AFC. That's big news. My question today is about cryptocurrency, specifically Bitcoin. And I'm wondering, with how volatile this stuff is, how is it going to become the next big currency if the prices change so much? As an investor, I don't want to put my money, I don't want to
I don't think he realizes it cut off after a minute. So
yeah, I don't think he does either.
So, Nick, that's a good question. So first of all, it's actually become less volatile over time in terms of percentage. As it matures, as Bitcoin and crypto in general matures, it starts to have more of just kind of a steady upswing. So, for example, this last swing wasn't quite as parabolic as we've seen before in previous swings. It went up threefold instead of going up 10, 15-fold, and then it retraced back about 10,000 instead of losing, half or more of the gain that it had. So even its wild swings are becoming less and less wild. I personally think the true value of Bitcoin is somewhere between 500,000 and 1 million. And once you're in that area, the swings are going to be a lot less wild and broad. Now, with that said, compare that to the dollar, which has been real steady in losing value every single day. It just does one of these. I will take something doing this number in a upward direction or even a sideways direction over something that's been doing this since 1913 and which just constantly and consistently loses value and which recently has started to curve a little bit more, so it's going down even more rapidly. So I think that's, looking at it that way, would I rather take something that has maybe like a sine wave pattern and is moving slightly up and sideways than something that's steadily going down? Yes, absolutely. Can you say something now?
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Okay. You fixed it.
Am I good? Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say that. What Spike said is spot on. This is the only message I listened to, and I heard it, and I went to pull a graphic so we could show it, but then I thought we don't need to. Bitcoin has been going up. Yeah, it's had its drops, but it's steadily been going up for the last 15, 20 years. I don't remember when it came out. I think whenever it came out, it has been going up, and the dollar has consistently been going down. And if you're talking about investments, investing in no stock has had the upswing that Bitcoin has had. No stock has had the uptick that Ethereum has had.
Yeah.
It is a sounder investment than it is any stock that's out there. But we are not financial advisors.
Yeah, we are not financial advisors.
We are not financial advisors. And if we were financial advisors, we would not go on MSNBC and say that we need to mandate a vaccine.
Yeah.
The Mad Money guy did that.
Oh, God. I wish he'd shut up. I didn't like him when he wasn't saying stuff like that. Doug Drybro, I hope I said your name correctly. Doug says, Glenn Beck says they will track your every purchase through digital currency. Is that a possibility? With centrally planned fiat digital currency? Absolutely, 100%. Yes. They would love to do that. Cryptocurrency, not so much. Now, with Bitcoin and some of the cryptocurrency, they can track you by your wallet if they know your wallet and they know the wallets of those, the wallet codes of those that you are doing transactions with. But the reality is there are ways around that. They do have like privacy ways to encrypt that further so that it's not being tied directly to you using the Lightning Network. But then there's also other cryptocurrencies like Monero, which doesn't allow that, where you can't track. So no, the reality is using Tor nodes and cryptocurrency, it's functionally impossible for them to track the money that you make or spend. Let's see here. Okay. All right. Here is the next one. Or you can do like Eskimo Libertarian, like Nullik is saying. She said, I'm just moving off grid and becoming completely self-sufficient. And by that, she means she can kill a bear with her bare hands.
When Nullik has the right to bear arms, that has very multiple meanings.
Yeah, it actually means she has the right to use her hands to rip off and then possess 2 bear arms that she just ripped off of an actual bear.
With her bare arms.
With her bare arms. So she has bared her arms to bear the bear arms, which she now bears under her bare arms.
Right. And she didn't even have to use the arms that she can legally
so her arms
bear.
are bare too. Yeah. That's what the Second Amendment's really about. So here's our next question from Matt Hicks.
Well, hello there, Guy on Left and Spike. This is Matt Hicks calling in on the personal injury attorney, Chris Reynolds, attorney at law, anchor call-in moment with your Ghislaine Maxwell trial update. TM. Dong, dong, dong. So, opening arguments were yesterday, and I got to tell you, it was one of the weirdest things I've ever seen. There was biblical references and all kinds of other strange shit that really kind of went off the reservation as far as opening arguments are concerned. It's supposed to be exclusively for laying out your case. Like, this is what the evidence will show sort of stuff. Anyway, today, Epstein's pilot is testifying and has basically just laid out that Ghislaine Maxwell was his designated number 2. And really, I guess that's about the long and the short of it that I've got so far. It's early yet. I'll check back in later. Hashtag Laser Legend.
We've got 3. Let's just go ahead and play all of these because I have a feeling they're all related.
Yeah, I'm certain they're all the same.
Yeah, to Ghislaine.
Hello again, Guy on Left and Spike. This is Matt Hicks calling in again on the personal injury attorney, Chris Reynolds, attorney at law, anchor call-in moment, TM. 2 things. I'm going to break it into 2 messages because it's kind of a little bit longer. So here's number 1. There are a lot of people that are complaining that there's no media coverage going on of the Ghislaine Maxwell trial. I got to tell you guys, it's patently false. It's kind of all over the media. If anybody is having issues finding any sources from the media covering it, I can only suggest that you perhaps take a long and hard look at the sources of news that you're consuming. Because it's out there, I promise. It's all over the place. So there's thing number 1, hashtag Laser Legend.
Also, Justico Mitchell says regarding Eskimo, sounds like quite the cross to bear. Because you could take the bear arms and make a cross out of it.
Ooh.
I assume that's what.
If it's not, I'm going with that's what he meant.
That's what I'm going with.
Yeah.
That you would make a bear arm cross.
Well, yeah, right. What else would you do?
Can you eat bear arms? Like, there's some meat on there, right?
You can eat. Yeah, I mean, you can eat bear. I think. I've never had it, but I think you can.
Well, no, I know you can have bear because Eskimo told me. She said she was making a bear shoulder. And I said, is that the actual shoulder of a bear whose shoulder you ripped off with your bear arms? And she said, yes. So if you just picture this really sweet, adorable, smiling woman just gleefully ripping the appendages off of a Kodiak, that's Nullik. just, hey, everyone, Nullik Trump here. And the bear's like, ah. All right, let's get the rest of these from Matt.
There's only one more, right?
There's 2 more.
Hello again, Guy on Left and Spike. This is Matt Hicks calling in on the personal injury attorney, Chris Reynolds, attorney at law, anchor call-in moment with thing number 2, TM. Thing number 2 is that people are complaining about reporters and stuff involved with the Ghislaine Maxwell trial. Listen, guys, it has been the rules of all federal courts since before any of us were born that they do not allow reporters to record or live broadcast from federal courtrooms. It's not new. There is a pool reporter allowed in the courtroom with a sketch artist, and the other reporters are allowed in the overflow areas, but they're still not allowed to record or live broadcast. And it is in keeping with the federal rules of evidence and rules of the federal courts that when a victim of sexual assault is testifying, the judge will clear the reporter out of the courtroom. Hashtag Laser Legend.
And here's the final one. By the way, it does require that. It doesn't require, as far as I know, that the artists suck.
Well, hello there, guy on left and Spike. This is Matt Hicks calling in on the personal injury attorney, Chris Reynolds, attorney at law, anchor call-in moment with your Ghislaine Maxwell trial update. TM. So, Epstein's private pilot dropped a big old bombshell today. This is the latest, greatest breaking news. He confirmed that Trump, Clinton, Prince Andrew, and Kevin Spacey all flew on the Lolita Express to various places with Jeffrey Epstein. So, QAnon, guys, here's your chance. You've been training your whole life for this moment.
Really?
Go get those pedophiles. Hashtag Laser Legend.
Now, I thought it was very powerful when Kevin Spacey responded to all of this by saying, "I am gay."
I have been living my life as a gay man.
Living life
for the last 20 years.
I like how he didn't just say, "I'm gay." He said, "I'm living my life as a gay man."
As a gay man.
And they're like, "Did you rape that kid?" And he's like, "I'm living my life."
Rapp.
What?
Anthony Rapp.
Anthony Rapp. And
That's
Kevin said, "I'm gay. Living my life as gay." But he didn't say no. He didn't say no.
But Anthony Rapp did.
So, wow. So the, I mean, that's true. So the, so the opening statement, one of the defense team for Ghislaine Maxwell compared her to Eve in the Bible.
Wow.
And said it said, just like the original victim of sexism, Eve. Yeah. Ghislaine Maxwell is simply being blamed for the bad stuff that was done by a man. That's what then they compared Jeffrey Epstein to James Bond. And said, well, because, James Bond, he was rich and unattached and a murderer. They didn't say that part. But they said, and he liked the women. He liked them with post-puberty. But they again didn't say that part. They said, and then they accused, they said that basically the way they're going to do this is they are going to rip apart each of the accusers and say that they were all perfectly either making it up or that it was legal what happened and they were perfectly fine with it and they were just trying to shake the money tree, as they put it. Shake the Jeffrey Epstein money tree. So
Not
this
stirred.
trial, what's that?
Not stirred.
It's a Bond reference. And then, so again, if you're going to defend Pedophile Island, just go all out. Don't go in there meek. Say, you know what, Your Honor, let's face it. My client is Eve. I rest my case.
Stephen Witt, who currently has the high bid at $200 for the tumbler, the Waffle House Caucus tumbler, autographed by Spike and myself. He said false memories. And yet, one of the things that they're saying in this trial, yes, there's the tumbler, there's our autographs with our beautiful faces. $200 right now, but you can get it
$200. You can have this for $205 or more.
Right. False memories. Yeah, one of the things that they're saying is that people who are victims of trauma can suffer from false memories, meaning they remember things that didn't actually happen. And that is going to be most of their defense from anything that I have read about this. They are going to gaslight the people, the victims, while they're on the stand in a federal trial.
They're going to go up there and say, are you sure that you aren't just crazy and making it up? Like, this is
right. They're going to gaslight the victims, one of whom I think is a doctor.
Doctor, are you willing to say now that you made all this up, you crazy bitch? Like, this is literally, I am just, this is going to, again, if you've decided, you know what I'm going to do today? I'm going to defend Jeffrey Epstein's child groomer. You don't go in there, and if she's not willing to plea it down, if she's like, nope, I'm not guilty, then you literally have to go in there hard like this and be like, you know what? These victims are a bunch of filthy liars, and I'm going to expose each and every one of them. Also, Jeffrey Epstein did nothing wrong.
Yeah,
I rest my case.
Annie Farmer is an American psychologist and has alleged that Maxwell and Epstein sexually abused her when she was 16 while she was at his New Mexico mansion in 1996. With Maxwell's defense, psychologist Elizabeth Loftus will testify about false memories of sexual abuse that people can describe with confidence, detail, and emotion without deliberately lying.
Wow.
In that article, those two sentences were back to back.
They're going to straight up say, Your Honor, they're going to gaslight these. Wow.
They are going to gaslight the sexual assault victims on the stand.
And because of federal law, if what Matt's saying is correct, if what Laser Legend himself is saying is correct, or if we're interpreting it correctly, we don't get to hear any of this or have it reported.
Nope.
These people are going to be gaslighted on the stand with no one to witness it and report it. Which is kind of like another form of abuse. Like they literally suffer abuse again. Being locked in a room basically and told, you didn't,
now
this
you're
isn't
gonna have
real.
To, you're going to be, you're not being forced to because you don't have to testify, I guess.
Right. If you want to testify, it has to be under these conditions.
If you want to testify, you're going to have to relive the trauma in front of the woman who convinced you to come there, while her defense team is going to sit there and gaslight the hell out of you, and reporters won't be there to hear your story because that's illegal, and your story isn't going to get out fully no matter what.
Until you sell your memoirs. This is incredible.
Until you sell your memoirs.
Incredible.
It's insane.
Incredible. All right, let's go to the next one. James M. Ray.
Hey, Spike and Guy on Left. This is James M. Ray calling in on the Chris Reynolds personal injury attorney anchor call-in moment. I was going to talk briefly about the Ghislaine Maxwell case, which is typically being covered better by UK sources like the Daily Mail than it is by USA sources. But at least it's being covered at all. I think we should be talking about it because I think it's a bigger scandal than either half of the ruling duopoly wants to admit. They just found out that the FAA disclosed accidentally more than 2,000 flight records, which was heroic. And so for once, I like a federal agency, the FAA. 3 cheers for them. And Epstein didn't kill himself. Love you guys.
Yeah, it was either accidental or a leak, and there's nothing they can do about it. First of all, James, thank you for finding the worst possible way to say Ghislaine Maxwell's name. Also,
was there any doubt?
There was no doubt. But yeah, I mean, if even half the names they've said end up being confirmed to have been involved in this is one of the biggest scandals ever. This is, I mean, again, I have the perfect background behind me to tell you that our country and planet are run by pedophiles, and I've gone full bore.
They need their adrenochrome, and they were getting it off of Epstein Island after they rode there on the Lolita Express.
That's me in the future. Excuse me.
Excuse me.
And the only way you can fight this is with super male vitality. Yeah, no, it's pedophiles. Here's one from Michelle Goodwin.
Hello, this is Michelle calling from Alaska for this personal injury attorney, Chris Reynolds, attorney at law, anchor call-in. Question. When we look at our history of saying the government solutions usually make things worse, or we just fail to do it well, I was thinking recently about, well, let's go back in time and how did the government do in ending slavery? And if we screw everything up, how could it have been done better? And the bigger question that we face today, of course, is how do you help people who have been injured by our government actions? I'm interested to hear some of your ideas on that. Thank you.
Well, thank you for that, Michelle.
I believe Michelle is one of our subscribers.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you. Thank you, Michelle. Also, guys, if you do subscribe, you don't have to subscribe to ask us questions, but we will like you more.
We will. We will think about them slightly longer.
We will definitely put more thought into it. Well, Michelle, after putting a little bit more thought into it, let's talk about slavery in the U.S. Slavery had already been ending in most other countries by the time it made it here, mostly, partially because of humanitarian concerns, but also because they were increasingly realizing it was a terrible way to procure labor. It actually didn't work well. It was costly. It was inefficient. It created externalities of problems, like people that were heavily oppressed and angry. It was just a bad way of procuring labor when you could instead hire someone to do it, and then they would come and do it and want to do it, and they'd happily do it because they were getting paid money, and they would usually be better at it and more specialized, and they could pursue other things and work their way up the ladder and do more stuff for you. And like, that's just a better way to do it than to point a gun at someone's head and say, you have to live with me and do all this stuff, and I'm going to breed you like an animal. Like, it's just not a good way of using human labor. So there's that. Plus, automation was making it even more inefficient. So what we did here in the U.S., what our government did instead, was something called the Fugitive Slave Acts, which, because of the problem of slaves leaving and going to places where the slavery wasn't allowed, they decided to completely abandon any concept of federalism and use the federal government to force the slaves to go back to where they came from and face their punishment, which was usually being killed. So that was a bad way to handle that. Had the government simply, and I mean, there are many things that could have been done prior to that. For example, not letting the slave owners count their slaves in the census, which would have greatly reduced their standing in Congress. That could have been something. But if they had simply not enforced the Fugitive Slave Acts or not passed them and simply said, listen, if you have slavery in your state, fine. If they leave your state, that's on you. It's over. You don't own them anymore. Just doing that would have created such an incentive for people to leave their plantations, because in some cases you could just go maybe 40 miles or 100 miles that way and you were now free. You were out of that state. But instead they went, nope, you got to go all the way to Canada or Mexico or freaking Haiti, or get on a boat and leave that way to be able to have a shot of being free, which was functionally impossible for many slaves. It was hard enough to get them to be able to leave the property and get to another state, much less to another part of the planet. Just doing that would have ended slavery much sooner. Honestly, those two things would have ended slavery. We would have been one of the first countries to end slavery instead of one of the last ones. And of course, slavery never actually ended. Slavery was shifted from the private sector to the Department of Corrections, which is what we have now. We still have slavery.
Now, when it comes to solving government's problems, it's not on any individual to solve government's problems. Once the government creates the problem, the only thing we can hope is that we eventually get rid of the government, which is the problem.
Right.
And hope that atrocity doesn't happen again in the future to anybody. Let's say that we got rid of government. If we got rid of government and Spike never achieved his destiny of becoming the first Jewish libertarian president,
because that's what matters, right?
Because that's
I just want government to exist just long enough for me to become the first millennial president.
Right. Let's say, so like, if government goes away and we could get rid of, we could get rid of the income tax. You'd be keeping all of your money. We could get rid of a lot of the regulations that keep you from being able to open businesses. We could get rid of the spying and the degradation of our natural rights. We could get rid of all of that. There wouldn't be reparations for all of the people who have been affected by these things in the past. The best thing that we can hope for is that we can get right. The best thing that we can hope for is that we can get rid of the atrocities that the government is doing, and in doing so, getting rid of government's the only way to really do it. But in doing so, you would ensure that nobody else would go through something like that again.
Yeah, there could be reparations in the more short term in the way of taking back what government has stolen from you that they haven't already spent or used. So I mean, there could be some, but the idea of undoing all the harm or wrong that government has done, that's not going to happen. Now, if we're talking about helping people who have been hurt by government, well, there's many things we can do there, even before we get rid of government. Charities, advocacy to end the harm that's being done, advocacy for restoration to people who have been harmed by government. So there's many things that can be done there. In fact, for Hanukkah, every night of Hanukkah, I am highlighting an example of a person or an organization who is helping people around them against the law, against government orders. And so far I've done 2. Tonight is night 3. I'll be doing a 3rd one later tonight when the show's over. But, so we don't even, yes, obviously when you see someone who's being actively attacked, the best thing to do is stop the attack. But, until we have the wherewithal to end or at least greatly reduce the size, scope, and power and cost and damage that government can do, we can certainly help people in the meantime as well. But it's not really from a policy standpoint. Any policy standpoint needs to be looking at how we claw back from government the power and the freedom and the money that's been taken from us, as opposed to how government can try to fix it, because government doesn't fix things, they make it worse. And then we got one more from Jimmy Lee.
Hey, Matt and Spike. This is Jimmy Lee. My question kind of is to Spike here. So, Connie and I and Elizabeth, some other people, we all went down to the Russell, Kentucky convalescent home on Thanksgiving to have Thanksgiving dinner with the residents, and got an update from Dream about what's going on. And not to fill the less than 1 minute spot up with the details, it's not going very good, and it appears that the eminent domain is still going in full steam ahead. So I was wondering, what can we do to get more media attention? Both state, local, and I'd like it to go national. I mean, I just want to show how horrible that this city council is and how uncompassionate they are. And I want the entire nation to see bad government. You know, one person, well, I'll tell you, Sean's the one that said it. He said, government likes to do bad things, but government doesn't like to be seen to do bad things. So let's get this on the air.
Yeah, so that, and thank you, Jimmy, for asking about that. First of all, I think it's great that y'all went down there.
This actually segues quite nicely from the last question.
Yeah, actually, it's a perfect example. Yeah.
Right.
So I think that the next step is going to be, because we've been trying to see behind the scenes if we can reach out to people in the city council and get them to consider another course of action besides eminent domain. Assuming that's going to continue to not get anywhere, then the next step is to go back even harder than we did this time. This time the focus needs to be, last time we let them know that people were watching. This time the focus needs to be on their community is watching. Because at the end of the day, I don't think those people care if a bunch of people come from out of town and tell them that they don't approve of it. It's good that we go there. They need to hear from those residents, and they need to hear from the other residents of their town. And so I think the next major focus is going to be on activating and making aware people in that town what's going on so that we can see some real change there. Those people are going to be held accountable when they know that it's going to cost them their seat. And not just their seat, but it's a small town. It's going to cost them their reputation in their home neighborhood where they live. So that's going to be the next step. We can certainly get bigger media attention, and we've been talking with some folks about possibly doing that, about getting more media attention out there. But at the end of the day, especially in some of these smaller towns, sometimes those people, that can backfire. They can say, we don't care if the whole world's watching. We do it the way we want in our town. The people in that town need to be heard primarily as saying, we're against this. This is not right. This is not our values. This is not what we think should be done. So that's coming soon. More on that very soon. And that was the personal injury attorney, Chris Reynolds, attorney at law, Anchor Call-In moment. Again, be sure to subscribe. Go to anchor.fm/muddywaters/subscribe. Become a member of the Muddy Mud Militia. And then from there, you can get all sorts of access to all sorts of exclusive content that only Muddied Mud people get. So speaking on the probably dumbest thing that the government's, one of the dumbest things the government's doing right now.
Before we get in, are we still at 200? I kind of stopped paying attention for a second.
I
think we're still at 200. I got, so much scrolling.
Oh, hold on.
So much scrolling. Somebody in the comments, let us know. Yep. So Chad Starr says, "Yup." I believe Chad. That's a sentence I don't think I've ever said before.
Oh, I think so Steven, are you, I think, $200 is, Steven with $200 is the top bid right now. Doug asked 200 for what? Well, I'm glad you asked, Doug. We have a one-of-a-kind, custom-made and custom-designed, customized Muddy Waters Waffle House Caucus tumbler. And it is signed by both of us. It has LED lighting that will last for 7,000 something for a long time.
Rated for, the LED lights are rated for 50,000 hours or
50,000 hours
and a third days. It's operated by a watch battery, and you get a backup battery. Very important. You get a backup battery. It's going to keep your drinks cold for 12 hours, hot for 10. The lights are under epoxy and it is safe to drink while lit, so you can just impress all of your friends with your light up cup.
Yes.
It comes with a portable, reusable stainless steel straw. The signatures are under epoxy, so you can wash it 10,000 or more times, and the signatures will still be there. Wash it by hand, not in the dishwasher. And this is the only one. There will not be another one made of this. This is a one-of-a-kind item.
We are up to 205 from Stephen Ellis. He has also promised us shitty bum wine, which actually we're both recovering addicts, so you can keep the wine, but we'll take the 205.
We'll just take the 205.
We'll take the 205. We're at 210 now.
210.
So we're going to continue with the bidding there. And but yeah, this is an incredible. And also, if you contact defythepower.com, they can give you the kit to make this into a bong.
Yes.
You can have a
Water
custom
pipe.
A water pipe, because that's apparently sure. So it's a pipe with water in it, which is completely different from a bong because we call it a water pipe. Yes.
In your state, that matters.
No, in my state, that's illegal if it's a bong, but a water pipe is 100% legal.
Totally. That's totally fine.
Totally fine. So that's what we're bidding on. Current bid is at 210, and we will be wrapping it up at the end of this. Now, on to something stupid.
Stupid.
Just stupid. So.
Stupid. 215 is
the Z variant, or no, I'm sorry, they skipped that character for some reason. The Omicron variant has been making headlines, Matt. It's spreading around the world, and it's going to spread further, and it poses a very high global risk. But, Matt, thankfully, they do have an ingenious plan to stop it.
That's right. Dr. Fauci is reaching into his old bag of tricks and stated that lockdowns may be in the best interests of the country to protect us from the Omicron variant. Not only that, but the Moderna CEO stated that we really need to worry about the Omicron variant. And I do not believe that the Moderna CEO has any ulterior motives when telling people that we need to worry about this.
No, gosh, no, definitely not.
And so anywhere that you looked over the weekend, it was fear-mongering. Here is Drudge Report from Monday at some point. I don't remember when I took this. And everything is doom and gloom. Every piece of this is about how terrifying the Omicron variant is. And in it, if you were to read every article on there, as I am wont to do from time to time, they said that this preaching to the fear, they said that this variant may have mutated from someone with a weakened immune system in Africa, leading experts to say it potentially came from a person who had AIDS and caught COVID, causing it to mutate. But holy hell, the presidential COVID-19 task force in Botswana, sorry about the graphic, I thought that was going to look better, says that the new variant was first discovered in 4 fully vaccinated travelers.
Yeah, we're going to make that big.
Yeah, we're going to have to make that bigger.
We're going to make that bigger. So, basically, they said the 4 cases were detected among travelers who tested SARS-CoV-2 positive on routine pre-travel testing, which meant that they didn't have any symptoms. A preliminary report revealed that all 4 had been fully vaccinated for COVID because, as we know, the vaccine doesn't stop you from getting or spreading COVID. And that's why it's crucial that everyone be vaccinated for some reason.
Yes. So stupid.
It's just
so stupid. Now, this has not stopped, even though it looks like it potentially mutated in vaccinated individuals. This hasn't stopped countries from locking down and not allowing people from African countries to come into their nations. Britain and some other European countries have done this. Much of Asia, Israel, and the United States have banned travel from South Africa. That means that Biden, who claimed that Trump was xenophobic for banning travel from China at the onset of the COVID pandemic.
Yep.
Just banned travel from South Africa, Botswana, Zimbabwe, Namibia, Lesotho, Eswatini, Mozambique, and Malawi.
Yeah. Now Biden, it makes sense. He banned travel from these 8 countries, and it makes sense because, as he said, unless we do something about this, my children are going to grow up in a jungle. The jungle being a racial jungle, with tensions having built so high that it is going to explode at some point. No, that was him talking about ending segregation. No, it's interesting because Joe Biden and most other developed countries around the world, their governments have banned travel to or from these African countries, even though some of those countries that have banned the travel have already detected Omicron in their country. So Israel, Italy, Germany, I believe now Canada, Hong Kong, multiple other countries have all Australia, who has some of the most brutal lockdowns in the developed world. Almost certainly it's here. In fact, certainly it's here.
It's here.
It's here. It is here. Omicron is here. So, because it's already here, of course, the answer is to stop people from coming here and bringing it here where it's already here. So what this really does is the reason they're punishing these 8 countries. Well, first they're punishing them because they're poor black countries and they're scapegoating them. But the reason that they're doing it is because we believe that Omicron originated in those countries. And the reason we believe that it originated in those countries is because they were the first ones to alert everyone about the new variant. So what do you think is going to happen in the future when another poor country finds a new variant of COVID? How eager do you think they're going to be to say, hey, there's this new thing and we found it. It's definitely already everywhere else too, but we found it. What do you think they're going to do? I think they're going to wait for someone else to say they found it. This is similar to a lot of nurses that I talked to who said that they would intentionally not admit to being sick with COVID unless it was obvious that they were sick with COVID because they'd get sent home without pay. So they'd go work sick because they were punished for doing the right thing. And that's literally what they just did. Variants are coming out faster and faster. We are soon approaching an era where there will be more strains of COVID than of weed. And at that point, at that point, where we are is no one's going to want to be the ones to say that they found it, because why the hell would you if you're going to get punished for it? So that's fun. But again, let's talk about the stupidity of saying, yes, you can't come here from South Africa because you have a variant that we already have in our country. It's stupid. This does nothing. It was just as stupid. I remember when they were talking about, oh, Trump needs to shut the border and stop all travel from China, when it was already here. It's just stupid. It demonstrates a complete lack of understanding about how respiratory illnesses work. Now, I expect this kind of thing from the comment section on 4chan. I don't expect it, or I guess I should expect it, from our health experts who are explaining to us why we need to do this. It's security safety theater. It's not going to actually work. They know it's not going to work, and they're doing it anyway. But,
did you see
Matt, obviously... Go ahead.
Before we go there, did you see the backflips, the mental gymnastics that Jen Psaki was doing, trying to say how Biden's wasn't racist, but Trump's was?
Oh yeah. No, that is classic Republican Democrat good cop bad cop routine.
Absolutely.
It is. Oh well, yeah. If you're racist when that you did that. Oh, now you're doing it. I guess you're a racist now too. How about we talk about the fact it doesn't fucking work? It doesn't work. It's stupid. I don't care if it's racist. It probably is racist. Like, has anyone talked about banning travel from just the UK? Because that's where the Alpha variant originated. It was never brought up. Now, Delta variant. We were fairly certain that it might have come from India, but we didn't know for certain. And so there wasn't really ever a travel ban that happened because by the time they found out about it, it was widespread everywhere. But this one came from Africa. And it might have come from someone with AIDS in Africa. And if we know anything about Anthony Fauci, he's made a career out of scapegoating gay people with AIDS. That's actually how he got his start.
That's how he got his start, yeah.
With all the gay panic he created during that.
His two big things was the AIDS epidemic in the 80s, where he said there might be a time in which you could catch AIDS off of the counter in your kitchen if you live with somebody with AIDS.
Yep. And also it's all gay men that have it.
He said that it could potentially become airborne.
Yes. So he did his classic, we don't know. So like he says that we don't know, but then he'll say like the most scary thing. So he said, here's what we know. We know it's primarily a disease of gay men. What we don't know if it could end up going airborne or if you could get it from casual contact. And so you literally had people that freaked out about any gay man being around them and there were gay men who were shot and killed because they got close to other people. There were gay men who had auto accidents and paramedics showed up because they knew the person was gay and they showed up in hazmat gear. And all of that started with Anthony Fauci doing a security theater we don't know routine. And now he's doing it with COVID. In fact, now he's doing it with COVID derived from possibly a black guy with AIDS. So this is like his moment that he's been waiting for his whole life.
Or it came because viruses, as we said in January, with Thomas Queter on the show, and please don't watch that episode, but we said it on that episode. But we said on that episode that when you try to give a vaccine to a virus, the virus wants to live. And eventually the virus doesn't want to kill the host off. So it will continue to mutate so that the virus will continue to live. And it needs a host. And it doesn't want to kill the host off. So it keeps mutating. Every time you get a vaccine, it changes.
In completely unrelated news, according to the doctors involved who have been the first people treating it, which one is that? I don't think I have that one. Omicron doctor.
Should be in there.
Is that this one? Nope, that's not that one. Anyway, what they're saying is that it's more mild. Completely unrelated to what we were just saying. It seems to be a more mild illness. The symptoms include headache and body aches, similar to other viral infections, similar to the flu. It's mainly affected people who are 40 or younger. Nobody has reported any loss of taste or smell.
And what I didn't put in here that I should have is that the doctor who discovered this said, yeah, the symptoms are mild and they can be treated at home in a few days.
Like the flu.
And as was reported by...
No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
As was reported by Reuters, almost, I'm going to say that again, almost half of the patients with Omicron symptoms that she treated were not vaccinated. I'm going to read that sentence again. Almost half of the patients with Omicron symptoms that she treated were not vaccinated. Or as we like to say it,
more than half of the people that she treated were vaccinated. Because the vaccine doesn't stop you from getting or spreading COVID. And as far as we know, as Anthony Fauci would say, we don't know if you're more likely to get this strain, if you're vaccinated. Because we don't know.
We don't know.
Hey,
So
if
when
you're
you
a
have Joe Biden
pathogen
going-
and you're trying to survive, and an increasing amount of your population has a thing, and the purpose of your entire existence is to spread and replicate as much as possible and live as long as possible, and more people have that thing, I wonder if at some point you're going to change so that you flourish with people who have that thing. In completely unrelated news, we are now told that if you got the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, that you have to get boosters every 2 months.
The CDC announced today, also not in the notes, but the CDC announced today that every American should at least have 3 shots.
Guess what that's going to mean soon? You know that curve that's been slowly going up of fully vaccinated people? That's according to the CDC definition of fully vaccinated. Guess what's about to happen? A bunch of people who have been calling us plague rats and scumbags who want everyone to die and won't get over ourselves are going to decide, they're going to have to decide how many boosters do they want to get for the rest of their life moving forward. And they're going to be having to decide this as more and more news comes out demonstrating that with each new variant, that vaccine becomes less and less effective for a shorter and shorter period of time. Like the flu shot, which is like we've been saying since last year. This background could not be any more fitting. It couldn't. I'm going to find a way to get a frog on there that'll just randomly appear. So that's the good news we have for you. I actually see a good news in this, Matt and folks, because I think it's becoming increasingly clear and obvious to an increasing number of non-branch Covidians that this was all a bunch of garbage that we've been fed. I'm hearing it more and more. I'm seeing it in my social media from people who are saying, I'm fully vaccinated, now I don't know why I even got it. Which again, we're not saying don't get vaccinated. I actually personally think, and I'm not speaking for Matt, I think if you are older, if you are obese, if you have comorbidities, and if your doctor has told you that you're fit or ideal to get it, it's probably a good idea for you to get it. I think that's a good idea. I think once you're a young person who might be more likely to get myocarditis as a side effect from it than you are to actually end up hospitalized with COVID if you don't get it, well, now maybe it doesn't make sense. But at no point should anyone be mandated to do it. But I'm certainly not saying that you shouldn't get it by any stretch of the imagination. But their narrative is falling apart for why you have to be made to get this. Every single justification for why they say you have to get it is falling apart. Not why you should get it, but why you have to get it. All of those are completely falling apart. It is not a public health question. It is a personal health question. You can still get it. You can still spread it. It does not matter. And how long your immunity lasts seems to be wildly different from person to person. It does not seem to be consistent. And it seems like getting COVID, you are immune for a longer period of time than you are if you get vaccinated. So, as more and more people are seeing that, I think as people are realizing this is an endemic thing, it's not a pandemic, this is not temporary. I think more and more people are saying no more lockdowns, no more vaccine mandates, no more mandates. Recently Cambridge did a study that the 6-foot social distancing is garbage. It's an arbitrary number that has absolutely nothing to do with reality. You could be as far away or as close to someone, and it all depends on how sick that person is and how strongly they're coughing, whether or not they're covering their mouth or nose when they're coughing and sneezing, whether or not they're wearing a mask. Those things matter far more than 3 feet or 6 feet or 10 feet or anything else. You could be 25 feet away, and if someone is hack coughing in a poorly ventilated area, you could still get it. You could be outside 3 feet away, and if they're not coughing at all, you could kiss them on the cheek and be fine. It doesn't matter.
And when you have the head of the NIH, who definitely funded gain-of-function research, and then when he got caught, changed the definition.
Yes.
Sitting there on national television saying, I represent the science. I am the science. You know that you are dealing with people who aren't living in a reality. They are telling you which people to listen to, which people not to listen to. They're telling you not to do your own research. New York Times 2-3 months ago said, we shouldn't be doing our own research. Everything is just pointing to the one man who is out there saying some of the most narcissistic shit I have heard since the last president. Yep. And saying, I am the science. I represent the science. These people are living in a fantasy world. You, sir, are the reason that so many gay people were beat up, that were murdered, that were shunned because of the things that you said. You were not following the science during the swine flu, during Zika, during bird flu, during SARS. You did not follow the science. And every single president, government, administration before this at least had the balls to stand up to you and say, no, we're not doing what you are saying we should do. And then COVID hit and people listened to you, partially to blame from a statistician out of Britain who said that 5% of the world or more is going to die. And you took that and you ran. But that same person came out with stats for each and every virus that came out before it, predicting the same thing.
Yep.
The fact anybody was listening to that guy is beyond me. And the fact that you have been wrong every step of this entire pandemic, from the onset all the way to today, you have been wrong. And then you're going to sit there and claim that I am the science. I represent the science. No, you don't. You make it up. You are trying to defend your highest amount of money paid to a government official, $475,000 a year, whatever.
Highest paid federal government employee is Anthony Fauci.
Is Anthony Fauci. Yes, I am the Senate. He has that Palpatine look to him.
Oh gosh,
you were trying to.
He's like New York Palpatine,
Right. You are attempting to defend this, and you are in your last gasps of defending anything that you have said or done, because everything you have said has been wrong. And you keep saying you're the science because you can keep saying, well, I said maybe, or the science changed.
We don't know.
We don't know.
Yeah. Which means if you say, I don't know, then great. I don't have to listen to you because you don't know. Let me know when you know. And if you don't know, then I don't know either, and I don't need to listen to you. Anthony Fauci, this is the second time that he has said that he is the science, and that anyone who's criticizing him is criticizing the science. Anthony Fauci has the kind of unearned messiah complex that only comes from being a lifelong overpaid career bureaucrat. Like you are them and cult leaders are the only people who will unironically get up there and say that they know everything and should be trusted implicitly, explicitly, or implicitly, with all evidence to the contrary. And yes, like Matt said, he got caught funding gain of function research and then changed the definition of it. We don't know yet if that gain of function research led to this specific illness. But we do know that it led to the creation of viruses that had 10,000 times higher viral load than the original viruses that they were created out of, by creating these chimera viruses, these hybrid viruses, and then implanting them in humanized mice. That's called gain of function research, and it's basically creating a superbug. We know they created at least one superbug. Now, we don't know if that mutated into COVID. We don't know if they made other ones that then mutated into COVID, but we know that they did it in Wuhan, China, which is where COVID originated from. And we know that it could have. Had this one been released, it would have done something similar to what COVID's doing. So whether it did or whether it didn't, we know that he did the funding for used our money to fund gain of function research that created viruses that are strikingly similar to this one.
EcoHealth Alliance, to be fair,
EcoHealth Alliance
did the research, and Peter Daszak.
Yes,
Peter Daszak. I think Peter Daszak.
They did the research. His office approved it. They created a very rigid set of testing and reporting that had to be done. That reporting was not done in the way it was supposed to be done. When they did get reports, the reports explicitly said that it was doing everything they weren't supposed to be doing, and they continued to fund them for at least another 2 years.
And remember, everybody, I want everybody to remember this. We reported this back in, I think, August, may have been September. I don't really remember. That EcoHealth Alliance went to DARPA and said, hey, we would like you to fund this. And DARPA went, no, that seems dangerous and crazy.
Yep.
And then Anthony Fauci went, have some money.
Yep. DARPA, who's involved with nuclear weapons research and spy planes and all sorts of other scary stuff. Anytime that you see these UFOs in the air, it's more than likely a DARPA project. They looked at this and went, whoa, that seems a bit scary. And Anthony Fauci looked and said, we don't know if this will fix everything. And so then he spent a bunch of money on it. So stop listening to Anthony Fauci. He doesn't even listen to Anthony Fauci. No one should be listening to Anthony Fauci.
He has no idea what he has said.
He has no idea. He has no idea.
No clue.
And yes, his ego is only comparable to that of Donald Trump, which is probably why they hated each other. So
I did remember something in the middle of that, going back to Ghislaine Maxwell. John Glenn was on the plane.
Oh, no.
Yeah. John Glenn was on the plane. I don't know why I remembered that halfway through our rants, but John Glenn. And I like that they said former Senator John Glenn, because that's what he's most well known for.
So we're okay. Yes, that's, man, I hope that John Glenn wasn't involved with that. I mean, he's dead now, so it doesn't matter, but still. Okay, so with the update on the Tumblr, Stephen Andrew Witt is currently the highest bidder with $375. So we are at $375, and here again is the Tumblr. It's a great Tumblr. You should get it. Many people are saying this is the finest Tumblr. You'll never find a Tumblr like this again. This is the best, fantastic Tumblr. Billions Tumblr. And billions and billions. This Tumblr.
This Tumblr is great. This is not that Tumblr. This is my own Tumblr. This one says man on the left. Man on the left. It's got the, and this Tumblr, I take this with me everywhere except for work. And the reason I don't take it to work is because I like the screw cap that I have on the one that I take to work, because I can hang it from my belt loop my bag when I'm walking in, and I need both of my hands walking in. But yes, this Tumblr is fantastic. Just hand wash it. That's all you really have to do. That's all you ever have to remember about this thing. Hand wash it. Great tumbler from the same company. Autographed by me and Spike. 50,000 hours on the LED lights. 2,033 days. If you just turned it on, it's like 6 years from now, it would turn off.
It'll turn on forever. For the rest of your entire natural life, this thing will stay lit anytime you turn it on. And it is epoxy. It's under epoxy, so you can drink it. You can buy a conversion kit to make it into a water pipe to pipe things that you smoke with a pipe that would have water. You can do that, make it into one of those. Not a bong, though. That's illegal in many states, including South Carolina. But a water pipe.
Probably Florida.
Perfectly legal. So, so 375 is what we're at right now. Let's wrap things up by telling you what this week is like, and then we'll come back and wrap up the bidding. This tomorrow night, my guest is Bill Perkins, who is the author of Die with Zero, which is a book about giving a solid economic case for not leaving any inheritance for your kids. And no, it's not just that's way more fun and you get to spend all your money. We're going to all the things you're thinking right now, but what about with this? What about that? I'm going to be asking it, but tune in, and if I miss a question that you have, be sure to ask your question, because we're going to be live with Bill Perkins, the author of Die with Zero. He's also a CNBC contributor. He's on the TVs all the time, and he's going to be on My Fellow Americans tomorrow, starting at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Alaska, 6 p.m. Mountain. And then, Matt, you have an incredible guest on Thursday as well, don't you?
I do. I have Amy Lepore on Thursday, and you are going to have to tune in to find out more about Amy, because you're not going to believe what she has to say.
I am going to very much look forward to what she has to say, because she is the one of the victims of the nonsense in Delaware. She is the duly elected chair of the Libertarian Party of Delaware.
There were
she's
no
the
notes
Libertarian
on that.
Party,
like, okay.
the duly elected vice chair of the Libertarian Party of Delaware, who was she's going to talk all about it and what our steps are moving forward to right that heinous wrong that apparently the LNC saw no reason to deal with. And then on Friday at 9:30, you will have Nellick and Noel right here on Friday with Cajun and Eskimo from Bayou to Igloo. Then have a great weekend. Be sure to tune into my social media every night of Hanukkah. I will be.
Are you coming to the
highlighting
Hanukkah party on Saturday? We're going to be having latkes and matzo ball soup and brisket.
I will let you know. I'm going to be there in like a month. So,
I know.
Anyway, and then on Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern is Mr. America, The Bearded Truth with Jason Lyon. And his guest is Hannah Cox, one of the coolest people ever.
Yeah, she's great. She's
just fantastic. And she's been around with Muddy Waters for a long time. She's a road dog. She's been around.
Yeah, she was on the writer's block, like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Did you know? I did not know this, but so I actually realized this earlier today. Next week is our 5-year anniversary.
Wow.
Yeah. Next week is our 5-year, and like technically it's December 5th or 4th. December 5th is the 5-year anniversary of Muddy Waters.
Oh, wow. So we got
years.
Holy
Yeah, we have to plan something.
Yeah, we have to do something.
I've been so busy, I haven't even had time to even think about it. Like, I didn't even realize until today. I was like, oh, crap, that's next Tuesday is going to be the anniversary show.
Well, folks, you heard it here first. Next Tuesday, big things in store. You were not going to believe it. Neither are we. for our 5-year anniversary of the Muddy Waters of Freedom, where Matt Wright and I parse through the week's events every single week with the cheer and a plum of cheery little plums. And so that'll be right back here, same muddied place, same muddied time, for Matt Wright and Spike Cohen with the Muddy Waters of Freedom. Matt, let's
have to finish the auction.
Yeah, let's finish this auction. That. So we are currently at. Are we still at 375?
375.
Chad Starr said, "Come on, guys, let's get it to 420." Yes, do I hear 420?
420.
So we are currently at 375, and now because there's a delay, I don't just say going once, going twice, because then no one would say. But we are soon going to be doing all of that.
So if anybody wants to put bids in, you're going to want to do it now. This is a fantastic tumbler. I can show you mine again because we don't have this one. This one is still at the like they had to epoxy it after we
Yeah, let me show the picture one more time. Be sure to get your bids in because we're about to close it out.
So 50,000 hours on the LED lights. That is 2,033 and a third days. You can wash it 10,000 times without the epoxy getting off. So that means that Spike's and my autograph and all the pictures and everything else are going to be on there for the rest of your life if you wash it as often as I do. And which isn't often. I only drink water out of it. You
could wash it very, very often and still have it for the rest of your life.
For the rest of your life. And keep your hot drinks hot for 10 hours, your cold drinks cold for 12. And all proceeds go to ensuring that our families have a slightly better Christmas. Or Hanukkah.
Yes, Hanukkah. And Christmas. So we are at 375. I'm not seeing any other bids. Happy birthday on the 5th, Fetcher Jordan. So we are at 375 going once. 375 going twice. Sold for 375 to Stephen Witt. Congratulations, Stephen. You know how to reach us.
Yeah, Stephen, just PayPal us at muddiedwatersmedia@gmail.com and give us your address and your email address. I already have your email address, but put it in there anyway so I can give it to Defy the Power, and he can send you shipping updates.
Yeah, because if I had it, I could just. So Stephen actually lives in the same county as me.
It's in the subscriber list because Stephen is a subscriber at Anchor.fm.
Yes. Well, thank you again. Congratulations, Stephen. Folks, thank you so much for tuning in. Matt, if someone were to look for us on the internet, is that how could someone do that?
I think all one would have to do is go to your favorite social media site and search for Muddied Waters Media, and you will probably find us.
Yes.
Some places much more prevalent than others, but you will probably find us everywhere else. But if you were one of those old school people who enjoy the sweet, dulcet tones of mine and Spike's voices and don't like staring into our... What color are your eyes?
Blue-ish.
Blue. Okay. Don't like staring into our bluish eyes. Our soulful bluish eyes, which has never been said about blue eyes. Bluish eyes by 4. All one would have to do is head on over to anchor.fm/Muddy Waters.
Oh, it's amazing.
It's amazing over there.
Yes.
While you're there, you can do things like favorite our podcast.
Yes.
And you can leave us messages that we will play live on the air.
Oh, yeah.
On Tuesday nights.
Right in there. We'll play it right in the middle there. Right in the middle segment of the show.
Jackson Pollock, that was right all over the place.
Yeah,
like Epstein and a 14-year-old.
Wow.
Yeah.
No. No, not like that at all. God.
You can also subscribe, where you will get
Epstein
wonderful benefits.
What? I don't think we were picturing the same thing.
You also get wonderful benefits.
Yes.
Like commercial-free playback of any of our episodes. You
Especially
get
with video now.
With video now on Spotify. You get access to the Muddied Waters subscriber group. You get 10% off at the Muddied Waters store.
Yes.
And you get access to the Muddied Zoom.
The Muddied
Zoom.
Once a month.
Which will happen next week. Next
Thursday.
At 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock, the Muddied Zoom. And we'll do that. I'd just like to note that what we do is nothing like what Jeffrey Epstein did with children. But also, Justico Mitchell asked if this is how people get AIDS. And
if you ask Fauci, yes.
We don't know how people get AIDS. We don't know if they get it from ASMR, libertarian ASMR. But yes.
Yes. Or you can find us at muddiedwatersmedia.com.
muddywatersmedia.com. Well, folks, thanks again for tuning in to this amazing episode of the Muddy Waters of Freedom. Thank you for checking out my new setup here, where I've got the earth, the world behind me. This, by the way, this doesn't really happen. This isn't real.
Excuse me.
This is just a green screen.
Excuse me. Sorry. Turds the frog's gay. Sorry.
It's not real. They want you to think
lizard people
that this kind of thing happens behind people, but it doesn't. This is actually a graphic. It's fake.
Lizard people.
The earth is flat.
Smell the sense of sulfur coming off of her.
Folks, thanks so much for tuning in again to this episode of the Muddy Waters of Freedom. We will see you very soon. Probably too soon. And where we're going...
Alex Jones. We don't need roads.
Alex Jones.